What's going on, everybody? It is that time again, the Sooners Illustrated Podcast, episode 202 on this Friday, August 22nd, 2025. Josh Callaway, Collin Kennedy with you. 8 days until the opener. 8 single digits. A week from tomorrow, Oklahoma will be playing football. It's kind of insane. It feels crazy. Collin and I were both at high school scrimmages last night. Week 0 games are tomorrow. It's that time, folks. It is that time. And we have a lot to talk about on the show today. Big move in the SEC. We'll react to it, the future scheduling model, all that good stuff. A lot of recruiting stuff to get into. Like I just said, Collin's at a scrimmage last night with some big-time players, including Mr. Bowe Bentley. We'll talk about it there. Oklahoma's added in 2026. They may add another. We'll discuss all that. And we're going to put a bow on fall camp with our roster superlatives. We did this exactly a year ago last year. I went back and looked. It was literally August 22nd a year ago. And so we will do that again. Some of the kind of superlatives, kind of a good way to kind of wrap up the offseason, flip the page to game week moving into next week. So a lot to get to, CK, on a Friday. A reminder, as always, to subscribe to us at oklahoma.247sports.com. Use the promo code SoonersPod60, all one word. You get 60% off a VIP membership for a year to Sooners Illustrated and the entire 24/7 Sports Network. The season is about to kick off. No better time. Hop in, be a part of the community, and be ready to roll with it. It's going to be a heck of a season here this fall, one way or another. Going to be a lot to talk about, I think, and we're fired up and excited to get things rolling next week with the very first game week. But like I said, we have a lot to get into. The first game week is coming. We're ready for it. We're excited. But to kind of put a bow on the offseason, we're going to do some roster superlatives today and some recruiting stuff. Before we get there, Collin, yesterday, finally official. It's been rumored forever. And it finally got locked in. ST is going to play 9 games moving forward, starting in 2026. So obviously have this season, and then they're going to add a 9th game the rest of the way. This has been talked about forever. They said they're going to have 3 permanent opponents, and then the other 6 are going to rotate, which, makes common sense there, because if you do that, you play everyone in the league in a 2-year span, and everyone in a 4-year span will come to your stadium, which is nice. So no more of that, like Georgia and A&M haven't played in 10 years, like that sort of thing won't happen anymore. So the obvious question, Collin, who are your 3? Everyone's done this in the last 24 hours. Everyone's thrown out their 3, right? I mean, Oklahoma's going to play Texas, right? That's a given. The Red River League is not going anywhere. But what are your other 2 as far as Oklahoma's permanent opponents on a year-in, year-out basis? Who would it be if you were making the call?
So I think there's a key distinction to make, and it's a fun distinction to make. Who would you want it to be versus who do you think it's going to be?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to hear your answer as well.
Yeah.
Here's who I want it to be. I obviously want the Red River game. That's the best game in college football.
Yeah.
I really, really want Oklahoma and Arkansas to be a thing. I have always felt like that is a massive game left on the table. I feel like if you think about it, Arkansas has rivalries, however you view that, with Texas and Texas A&M, LSU. It feels like, especially because of the state-to-state connection, kind of that Tulsa area. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Arkansas, Oklahoma, in my opinion, 2 passionate fan bases, a regional specific game that would mean a ton to both groups. And I just think it would be a good football game. Like, I think that home and home would be electric. If you have those 2 baked in, I personally would like to see Oklahoma and A&M. I know that Missouri is going to get thrown out there, but I also know, and I agree, that a lot of Oklahoma fans don't view Oklahoma-Missouri as a rivalry game.
Sure.
I lean more towards that boat. I do think that Oklahoma-Missouri is a fun game to play, but I'm also not going to be sad if Mizzou and OU aren't playing each other. However, if you're able to bring back some of those Oklahoma-Texas A&M games of old, and think about that home and home. I mean, the ability for 2 programs who constantly battle each other on the recruiting trail. In some ways, Texas A&M and Oklahoma are bashing heads against each other on the recruiting trail more than Oklahoma and Texas sometimes. And I think that there's always kind of had that that trash talk on social media between those two passionate fan bases. Think about, Josh, you and I potentially getting to go every other year to Kyle Field for an Oklahoma A&M.
Right.
And again, I'm a big regional specific guy. That's my tendency, my lean. I think that if you gave me Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Texas, that to me just makes the most sense. Who I think it's going to be, Texas, LSU. I think they're really trying to force the LSU thing.
Yeah, you read my mind there. Yeah.
And then I think Mizzou. I think that's the trio that probably gets assigned. I could see Florida, but I think that's the one outlier for me going in. If I had to give you my guess, it'd be LSU, Mizzou, Texas. I would like it for it to be Arkansas, Texas, and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm with you. It seems like it feels intentional that the SEC put Oklahoma, LSU at the end of the year, both this year and last year, right? That they're trying to make that a game, right? An annual thing. So I think LSU's got a very good chance to slide in there, probably with Missouri, because that's another thing, another rivalry, quote unquote, that it feels like the SEC has been trying to make happen, basically make it a thing. If it was up to me, I kind of like the idea of a Big 12 pod. I kind of like of it being Oklahoma plays Texas A&M, and then Missouri. I kind of like that idea because it's almost like, and I think the Arkansas game would be awesome too. So it's not like I would get upset if that's the way it went. But, there's been so much change in college football, and they're in the SEC. It would be kind of fun if it was almost within this SEC in this new world. You still had a little just like taste of the old way it was, where you're still playing the other Big 12 teams, the other former Big 12 teams, Texas, A&M, and then Missouri. It's like you still have that little taste of the Bob Stoops Big 12 days, even though we're in this new era in the SEC. It kind of would be a little bit of kind of playing both ways, just a tad. But I agree with you. I think LSU is probably going to be on there. Arkansas, I wouldn't hate. The only thing I don't expect Arkansas, because I feel like Arkansas, Texas is going to be a thing. And I don't feel like they're going to do both. And then, like you said, a couple years ago when this was floated around, the big rumor was Florida. That was a team that was a very popular pick to be in Oklahoma's pod with Texas and then probably Missouri. So I don't really know why. I don't really know what the connection is there. I mean, they played for a national title 15 years ago, but other than that, I don't know if there's a lot of connections between the programs. It'd be a fun game, obviously. Most of these SEC matchups are. But, yeah, my pick, I like the idea of a Big 12 pod, but we're in agreement. I think it's probably going to be Texas, Missouri, and LSU. That would be, if I had to put money on a group, that's what I think it probably will be.
I am very interested to see who Arkansas draws, because they really want the Arkansas LSU. They really want Arkansas Texas A&M. They want Arkansas Texas. So that kind of
teams have got too many rivalries.
That's the thing that I find interesting, and I think you'd agree with me. The SEC is as good as any conference at trying to force rivalries for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have very many other examples, but I feel like they've tried to make like South Carolina, Mizzou maybe a thing or something. I think there are times where there are trophies being played for. I'm like, I didn't even know that this.
Well, like, because take Tennessee for example, like Vanderbilt in state, Kentucky's like that border matchup, and then like Alabama's third Saturday in October. Florida's a big, like Tennessee's got 9 rivalries. Like you can't play them all on a yearly basis if you're going to do this. And so I think the good thing for Oklahoma is Oklahoma fans. Red River's not going anywhere. I mean, 0.0% chance that's not going to be on the schedule, right where it's always been in Dallas. And then you kind of just roll with it after that. It's like, whatever, you kind of just roll with the punches. I do think Missouri's going to be on there, though. So the fans that are trying to make, like, we don't care about Missouri, that's not a rivalry. I think it's going to be one. Like, it kind of is. Like, it just kind of naturally, they're closer together and geographically. Like, I think that's going to be a thing. So
I think the SEC, I think the SEC has absolutely shown you they want Oklahoma, Mizzou to be a revenue drawer for this conference. And I think that early on, it's already kind of paid its dividends. So I'm with you. I think Mizzou is going to be on there. I wouldn't be upset if they weren't, though. I think LSU is going to be on there. I am with you, though. I think the most sensible and fun move would be to do the old Big 12 pod and get A&M, Texas, Mizzou, Oklahoma. That to me is art. Like let's go back to the good old days.
Yeah, you'd have like a throwback Big 12, like almost season because they'd all play each other, or at least Oklahoma would play all three of them, I guess. I guess the pods don't necessarily have to all be the same within the group, but you almost have like a little Big 12 race within the SEC race, which would be kind of fun. And
I do want to say real quick, those of you watching or listening, hop in the comment section. How would you feel about Oklahoma A&M? I am curious about that because we don't talk about that a lot.
No.
I'm curious to see how fans feel about that because I don't have a read on that either. So anyway, it's going to be interesting. Feels like the Big Ten kind of peer pressured the SEC in a 9-game slate.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised they caved in on it. And on top of that, too, I didn't mention it before that Greg Sankey, part of this is that you have to play at least one high quality, what they're calling high quality. I don't know what actually qualifies for that, but one high quality Power 5 non-conference game, which, I mean, Oklahoma usually does. They're playing Michigan this year. I mean, obviously, and next year they have Nebraska down the road. I think Clemson's down the road. But, obviously a lot of fans wondering, does this open the door for a Bedlam reunion? Oklahoma State does not really have a lot of open dates on their schedule in the future, not until like the 2030s. But, that's another thing. I know a lot of OU fans do. They're like, we don't care to play Oklahoma State. I know certainly our members, as soon as Illustrated, a lot of them feel that way. I don't know. Maybe it's the Oklahoma kid in me. I want Bedlam to come back. I've been open about that. Like, it's fun. It's a fun game. It's the Oklahoma Super Bowl. Like, this state, those are the two biggest things in this state. Like, Oklahoma football and Oklahoma State football. You loop in the Thunder, but it's like that game when I was a kid was so mad. I mean, it was life or death. Bedlam. Like, it was everything. And so the fact they don't play it anymore makes me a little sad. So hopefully they bring it back at some point.
I think we shouldn't overthink this. And if we're going to just take ourselves to a across the board 9-game slate and the SEC Big Ten challenge, for lack of a better term, let's just do the Big 12 pod, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, Mizzou, and let's get Oklahoma, Nebraska on the books.
That would also work. Yeah.
Let's just get it all done. Let's get some nostalgia going. Let's bring the good old days back. It'll be a great time for everyone involved.
I said it before.
That's my take.
When I went to Lincoln, Brent Venables' first year, that was probably, I think, clearly my favorite non-conference trip I've ever taken, and one of the favorite trips I've ever had, period. I look forward to going back here in a few years. That was an awesome trip, and that is a great rivalry. So, and I'm glad they are playing again here soon. I think it's like right after the Michigan series, I think, like 27, 28 maybe, or it's not that far away. They're supposed to play again. But hopefully if you can make it a yearly thing, that'd be great. But
why not?
Anyway, we digress. A lot more stuff to get to. Fun to talk about, and we'll see. They usually announce that. When do they announce that? It's like usually, is it during the season? I can't remember when they announce the next year's opponents. It might be later on during the season. When the full schedule comes out, like in the winter sometime. But we'll see. We'll see where they go with it whenever we do get there eventually. Let's do some recruiting stuff, and then we'll wrap up kind of fall camp with roster superlatives. Just a handful of recruiting things to hit here, relatively quickly. Let's start with James Carrington in the Bowe. We talked about him last week. I asked you, what was kind of next for Oklahoma after getting Jake Krull into the boat and missing on Davian Gross. You pointed out a couple of defensive tackles. We're going to talk about both of them here today. First one being James Carrington, who committed to Oklahoma earlier this week. 3-star prospect. Remember, this is a guy that reclassified up from 2027. He used to be a Florida State commit. Obviously decommitted and is now headed to Oklahoma out of Irvine, California. Collin, what kind of player is this? I mean, that's really the main question. And, how excited should Oklahoma fans be? Obviously, you have Brian Harris on that defensive tackle room in this class. Now you add James Carrington to it. They may add another. We'll talk about that in a second. But getting Mr. Tank Carrington into the boat this week felt like a nice little addition for Oklahoma, especially this kind of, late, frankly, in the cycle to get this done.
Yeah, so quick recounting of the timeline that got us to this point. I know some of this will be a little bit of a rerun from a recent pod, but to our new listeners who are curious, feel it's important to obviously address how we got here. In my opinion, obviously Oklahoma offered and recruited Carrington for a long time, but to me, you have to go back to January at the 2025 Navy All-American Bowl in San Antonio, where Carrington tells me that, hey, my top two is Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And I think that sort of laid the foundation for where we got to today. But you go from Oklahoma, in my opinion, at that time, not only being in the top 2, but I thought that OU had the lead. January into late May, he cancels his official visit that was scheduled for that first weekend in June. And you're sitting there going, okay, this is a little bit interesting. But a few days after that, Carrington reaches out to me and says, hey, want to let you know I'm still talking a little bit to Todd Bates in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We may get something on the books. I don't know. And we talk about it all the time. It never hurts to maintain a relationship in today's era of college football recruiting. It pays to finish second place sometimes, especially in the portal, but you really never know with this stuff. And he commits to Florida State a few days after that. I thought that thing was over. But then Florida State and Carrington, as time goes on, they kind of come to a mutual decision to go separate ways. And I do think that Oklahoma played a role in that, maintaining that relationship all the way through, and then inevitably pushing enough to pull off the flip. And I think that kind of on that note, this is a player, Josh, that has been through a lot. He's a multi-time transfer in high school. He has dealt with some injuries. He has lost a lot of weight at times. And he's really, I don't want to say fluctuated as a prospect, but a lot of change has been seen over the course of his high school development process.
Sure.
And I think for him, the best thing that he could do, and I feel like this played a role in his commitment to Oklahoma, the best thing he could have done was finding a place with some stability along the defensive line, proven track record of development, and honestly, a program that was ready to invest in him. And I think OU is fully prepared to do that. I think this is further evidenced by the fact that Todd Bates was so consistent, even when it felt like this thing was not going to go OU's direction. I give Stacey Ford a ton of credit, one of those personnel hires by Jim Nagy in Oklahoma. He has a number of connections to the West Coast. I heard he played a major role in this. Jim Nagy, obviously, making sure that the deal side got done. And in general, I think Carrington saw an opportunity to go to a program that has always been interested in him, had faith in him. And I think that as he continues to get back on track and continue to evolve into the player that he can be, Oklahoma feels like the ideal fit. And I think OU sees him as an ideal fit for the future of their defensive line.
Carrington, the 17th commit for Oklahoma in 2026, right around the middle of the class in terms of, rating, that sort of thing, if you're into that. 24th in the class rankings after Carrington's commitment on Saturday. Kind of just climbing up toward, which, this is something that Collin said multiple times, like, where can this class be? Probably close to around where they were last year, which was, 17, I think it was last year. And, if they kind of the pieces fall right their way, they're going to be right in that same ballpark again. Again, I know Oklahoma's, fans are wanting higher than the 24th ranked class right now. But, when you look at kind of the full context, where they are, what they're coming off, and kind of the way this class has been talked about sometimes, really not bad. And there's more meat on the bone here until signing day, including who we're going to talk about next, which is T-Ron Richardson, another defensive tackle prospect that we talked about a little bit last week. He's committing on Tuesday, August the 26th. He'll be making it official. The Virginia product. Again, we talked about him a little bit last week. Oklahoma, obviously heavily involved here. Virginia Tech, the in-state school, heavily involved. Penn State, I think you might have brought up last week as well. Where do things kind of stand here, Collin, for you with T-Ron as we go into Tuesday, his commitment day? And does the Carrington addition help or hurt? I mean, does it matter at all? I mean, as far as getting him into the boat, you now have two defensive tackles with Harris and Carrington. Oklahoma looking to make it three potentially here with Richardson. Where do things kind of sit here as we go into Tuesday, and Oklahoma maybe looking to make another addition to Todd Bates' room, and obviously just a little over a week span?
Yeah, so transitioning from Carrington to T-Ron here, here's why I don't think that the addition of Carrington or Brian Harris, for that matter, really matters with T-Ron at all. I think Carrington is probably going to be more your three tech, so that penetrating one gap that Oklahoma has next to the nose tackle typically the 0 to the shade 1. I think Carrington's more 3. I could see Brian Harris being a 3 or 1. They're getting guys that can do a lot. I think that T-Ron Richardson has a chance to be that true nose take in this class, that true one shade, and play the interior alongside someone maybe like a Carrington or a Harris. And again, that's a layer 2 defensive tackle recruiting you have to take into consideration. You recruit defensive tackles, but you're also recruiting scheme-specific fits. OU needs a nose guy, and I think T-Ron Richardson could be that. And I think over the next few days, as we inch closer to decision day, that's going to continue to be made apparent to him, right? This is the same kind of stuff that I talked about with like a Jake Kroll decision. Whenever we do these pods and there's like 4 or 5 days left to go until the actual commitment, like negotiations and conversations are still very much ongoing, right? And so I think that's what's happening here. I think it's Oklahoma or Virginia Tech at the top. I think Oklahoma is going to do whatever it can to get this decision in its favor, because I think that in an ideal world, and we would talk about this if this comes to fruition, in an ideal world, OU takes 3 defensive tackles, and this would be the third, right? Yeah. Especially as a nose guy. So, look, Virginia Tech's going to be tough to beat. I've talked about this in the past. VT is kind of the hometown team.
Sure.
He's had a lot of love for VT, but VT is another program, you could argue similar to Oklahoma, honestly, that the future is a little uncertain there.
Very shaky out there, yeah.
Yeah, and look, there are a number of other schools involved here. I just feel like right now, it could be a Dave Gross thing. Maybe another program comes out of nowhere and sweeps this one in their favor. That's what we deal with today, right? But I think T-Ron has made it pretty clear that over the next few days, he's going to try to decide between Oklahoma or Virginia Tech. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But if that holds true, I think OU is really optimistic about what it can get done over the next few days.
And we mentioned before, you only signed 1 defensive tackle last year with Trent Wilson, who looks the part, looks like a great get. But again, 1 guy, right? And so you come in this year and you potentially could sign 3 to get Richardson in there. That'd be a nice way to kind of replenish the room pretty quickly and kind of help bridge that gap, because you have another year of Stone and Jackson, but you got to start to kind of look to the future a little bit. And be quite a group to bring in if Todd Bates can kind of cap it off here with Richardson. And we'll keep you posted over on Sooners Illustrated leading up to this decision. Also have the coverage on Tuesday when he makes the call. And obviously Oklahoma hoping that it's in their favor on Tuesday. Other thing on recruiting side before we do some roster superlatives on the back end, you were in Salina last night catching up with Mr. Bowe Bentley. I saw a couple highlights from our great Mike Roach. It certainly looked like he was sharp, dropping dimes everywhere, got OU fans excited. Also participating out there is Cooper Witten, who's the 2027 5-star composite linebacker. Yes, the son of Jason Witten, obviously, who Oklahoma connection there with DeMarco Murray and all that good stuff that we've talked about before. Cooper's been, I think he's camped in Norman, right? Jason Witten was definitely there. Yeah, right. So I'll say so some connections here for Oklahoma. It's not like a total pie in the sky name. They have it in here, and certainly they're going to make a push for them. You're out there. How did it go? Obviously, what'd you see from these 2 guys? And you got to talk to both of them as well. Just kind of catch us up on what's going on with our guy Bowe Bentley, and then a little check in on Cooper Witten. Obviously, a long way to go for him, just a 2027 guy. But when he's a player this good, you kind of want to know how it's going as early as you can in the process there for Mr. Witten.
I want to preface this conversation that we're about to have by wholeheartedly acknowledging this was a scrimmage. I am aware that it was just a scrimmage. So let's talk about that scrimmage. Look, that was some of the most fun that I have ever had at a high school scrimmage. I had a blast. Right. It was so well structured, well organized. Both staffs are awesome. And both of these guys were, they're 2 of my favorites, right? And I want to tell this story, not trying to I promise you, I'm not trying to brag about my relationship with the guy. But I think it's a testament, but then also kind of a funny story. I'm standing there, I'm taking pictures, right? And I'm taking pictures of Bowe. He turns and he starts smiling and he starts walking towards me. I'm thinking he's going to the sideline or something. So I'm getting pictures of him cheesing and all that. I'm like, oh, this will be good stuff. And it keeps getting closer. I'm like, what's going on here? I have a very big camera, so I drop the lens, and he's like right in front of my face. I'm like, whoa. It like the scrimmage is going on, and Bowe is walking up to come talk to me. That's never happened where a guy just leaves a scrimmage to come chop it up. Daps me up. We're standing there on the sideline, the second team scrimmaging, and Bowe's like, yeah, good to see you. I'm glad you came out here, blah, blah, blah.
That's awesome.
We literally you would have thought two guys were talking ball. This is why I wanted to tell the story. He comes up to me, we're talking, and he's like, dude, I can't believe that's Jason Witten. I'm like, yeah, no, I was like, between you and me, Bowe, I feel that way every single time I see Jason Witten coaching Liberty Christian. It's still crazy to me. He's a coach. He's like, dude, like, I kind of want to meet him. I'm like, you should go talk to him. And then Bowe was like, Cooper looks great. We're going to try to go after him. I'm like, yeah, you probably should. Cooper's really good. And
probably should. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was like, yeah, we got to try and get him, but I haven't talked to him yet. I was like, you have to go meet Cooper, because Cooper he's such a nice kid. I mean, I love talking to Cooper. Very, very not what you would expect. And this is what I told Bowe, right? And so we're chopping it up. We're talking ball. We talked for 5-6 minutes, and then Bowe went back to the scrimmage. And afterwards, I thought it was really cool. The teams went to do the handshake line, and Jason Witten sought out Bowe, because I told Mike, I was like, hey, Jason's kind of an OU football fan. I feel like he knows the deal with Bowe.
Sure.
And as the handshake line is going, I think it's really cool. Oklahoma's quarterback commit gets sought out by an NFL All-Pro tight end, and Jason shared some words of wisdom with Bowe before they broke the huddle. So that's kind of my cool story from the night. Bowe and Cooper got to talk a little bit as well. Watching them really, I mean, again, it's a scrimmage, so like I can't dice up their game or dissect everything, but I thought Bowe looked pretty sharp, really accurate, whether it was boundary or field, just like making throws to the sideline. I thought he was really accurate. Had a good day. Some drop balls last night. Guys were shaking the rust off a little bit. Sure. There was a lot going on. Liberty Christian's defense was really good too. And then that's where I kind of bring in Cooper. Cooper, this will be the first year, Josh, that he's making the full-time transition to inside linebacker. But not only is he moving from safety to inside linebacker, he's going to be playing a lot more wide receiver at Liberty Christian. And so we were joking that Jason is just going to be running his son Cooper into the ground every single game, because you would have thought last night was like for the district championship, the amount of action that Cooper was forced into. They threw his way a ton. They had him working an inside backer. He's drenched in sweat, hands on the hips. They were getting after it. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Talking to Bowe, he gave me some great quotes for some great feature stories on behalf having on the site, but he just talked a lot about how difficult that decision was at the time. He pretty much, he told me like he was praying on it, and he woke up kind of around the Elite 11 and made the decision like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit to Oklahoma. Said it was a very emotional moment with his family, and that his plan was to tell his family, surprise them, and then have his family drive up and surprise the OU staff. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I asked him, like, do you ever think about that kid that went viral in the picture with the OU jersey on? And he was like, I feel like that kid would be really proud of me, and I'm really proud of that kid for putting in the work to getting ourselves to that point. And I think Bowe's really easy to root for, and Cooper is as well. And so it was a great time out there last night getting to talk to those guys. They're going to have really good years this year, but they're really good people too. And you can see why Oklahoma wants them both really bad.
Didn't it just feel good to just see football with your eyes? I was at a Carl Albert last night. They have a great multi-team scrimmage that they have every year. Lawton MacArthur out there, Heritage Hall, Newcastle, Eben Memorial, maybe one other one that I'm forgetting. And it just feels good. Just to see the pads popping, and it just was nice. Nice to be out there. It's great facilities out there. Mike Dunn, Carl Albert, obviously, is a phenomenal program. They have a big new video board out there too that I didn't know they had. And I got out there, I was like, oh, that's new. It stood out. Just felt good though. I'm sure it was the same for you. Like, oh man.
I turned to Mike, and I was like, man, Pitt's getting an absolute steal, and Wyatt Valero, this tight end at Salina, big dude catching ball on the sideline. And then I was like, Pitt's getting a steal. I turned away. I turned back. I was like, oh, I miss this, man. That kind of stuff gets me going. You're watching a guy play ball. You're talking about it. On that note, though, Cooper had a really good scrimmage. I did want to add a little bit of intel. He still says Oklahoma is still very much in the mix. I know there was a little bit of confusion on social media. He plans to visit OU in the fall. I did find it interesting, though, Josh. He said that he does not plan to go to the Red River game. Texas is going to hold the recruiting cards this year. Like, Texas will be in charge of the invite list.
Yeah.
And he said that he would much rather go visit Oklahoma and Texas on campus separately as opposed to being in the Red River game. So he does plan to be at OU in the fall, as well as a number of other programs, but he does not plan to be at the Red River game. We'll see where he shows up and when, but again, OU's still involved with him, and it's clear that Cooper could be, going to an OU game with Bowe sometime in the fall.
Good to hear. And we'll see if Michigan or whatever game, I'll say Oklahoma. This is another we talk about all the time, but the SEC, you have big home games. It's not kind of all on one. I know we talk about Michigan being a huge weekend, but Auburn comes to town, Ole Miss comes to town, LSU at the end. Like, you have other big home games too. So hopefully they can find one and get him out there and have a good weekend with Cooper Witten, and his dad can maybe come hang out with his old buddy DeMarco too.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up with roster superlatives. We did this last year, literally a year ago today, August 22nd, 2024. We hit on kind of the way to wrap up fall camp and kind of get, fully finish up the offseason, kind of make some kind of last prediction sort of things here. Kind of a fun way to kind of finish it up. Obviously, it's fall camp in the books, shifting into game prep. They're getting ready, obviously, for the opener and Michigan to follow. All eyes are on the opener next week, a week from tomorrow. Let's do roster superlatives. We have 4 we're going to do. We'll roll through them rapid fire. We'll trade them off back and forth. And, kind of a way to wrap up the offseason a little bit here. Let's start with an obvious one that people ask all the time. They ask you all the time. I get asked all the time. It's just a common question, so we'll do it up first. Freshman is going to make an impact this season. There are, I actually think, a few that you could really make a pretty good case for here as far as a freshman who legitimately has a chance to see the field, not just like some, but a lot this upcoming year. There's a few that come to mind right away. You want to get it started? You want to kick it off with the first one? There's a few. I mean, you can go any direction, and you're going to leave me good options.
Sure, I'll take first pick. I was going to let you have it, but you did have it last year, so I guess I need it this time around.
Whichever way you go, I have other ones to pick up.
Okay, I'm going to. Ooh, man, now I'm in a bind because I was going to feed off of your pick. I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go Cortland Guillory.
Nice. Interesting. Yeah.
Here's why I say that, right? I think that, and I do think we have a little bit of time to expand on this. I know last year we did like honorable mentions too, so it'll be fun discussion with this stuff.
Sure.
Curious to hear what you think. Why I picked Cortland. I think that the trio that you probably think of right off the top is Michael Fasusi, Elijah Thomas, and Cortland Guillory.
Yeah.
I think when you look at OU's cornerback room, I don't think that the OU staff would be making as much noise as they have with Guillory if they didn't anticipate or expect him to play at such a wide open position group.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think all of this talk is for nothing. We know that Eli Bowen's going to be dealing with his injury. We know that guys like Devin Jordan and Jeremiah Newcomb and Jacoby Johnson, they've all been competing with Cortland for that other cornerback spot opposite of Gentry Williams. And I think Fasusi, Thomas, yes, they have a chance to play, but those rooms appear a little bit more clear-cut. And on top of that, I think Cortland Guillory is going to play a lot on special teams. So I think if you have an opportunity to get this guy in, get meaningful snaps at corner, and let him play in like kick coverage units and things of that nature, that to me is an impact freshman. And I think he has more of the clear-cut ability to get onto the field quicker.
Yeah, I asked Owen Heineke actually on Tuesday, young guys making an impact on special teams. And Cortland Guillory was one of the names that he brought up, is kind of making the most of his special teams reps. I'm with you. Did you see Jay Valai compare Cortland Guillory to Stephon Gilmore the other day? Quite a
whoa.
Yeah, quite a Emmett Jones. He kind of took Emmett Jones' thunder a little bit because Emmett Jones was comparing guys to I think he compared Elijah Thomas to Malik Neighbors, and then I want to say Montez Lewis reminded him of CD Lamb, I think, if I remember correctly, which some big comparisons there. But yeah, I mean, they're very high, and we know Brent Venables loves Cortland Guillory. He's brought him up pretty much every chance he can get. So I like that pick a lot. You mentioned the other two that are right there for the taking with Fasusi and Thomas. I really go back and forth. I was kind of hoping you would take one of those two so I could make it a little easier, probably take the other one. You know, if I had to pick one, I probably would go with Fasusi. I think it's just hard for me to imagine Michael Fasusi doesn't get on the field. And, you know, if you told me by the end of the year he was starting at left tackle, we'll say, wouldn't shock me at all. You know, he's had a great camp. The ceiling is just so high there. I'm in. He's had a great camp, and you know, the offensive line is a little bit, there's going to be some shuffling early in the year. And so I imagine it's going to be kind of come down to who kind of goes and takes it and proves that they can belong in that top 5 for Coach Bill Bedenbaugh. I'm in on Fasusi, and Ryan Foje too. I think has got a chance as well, but I'm right there. But you know, definitely top honorable mention if you want to shift into that. Elijah Thomas is right there. I mean, I do think Elijah Thomas is going to have a role. To what extent is not really clear. I mean, the wide receiver room is you know, it's very interesting because it's like, you know, you feel great about Burks, obviously. Satania probably. Keontae Lewis is going to have a role, you'd imagine. Javonte Gibson, when he gets back, will have a role. But Elijah Thomas is right toward the top of that group as well, as far as, you know, definitely going to get an opportunity early in the year to kind of make a name for himself. But I'll roll with Fasusi, but Elijah Thomas certainly really close right there with you. But I'm with you on Guillory too. I mean, I you know, those are all 3 guys. Those are pretty clearly the 3, in my opinion, that have got a great chance to make an impact on this team right away. I don't know if there's any other ones that stick out to you. I mean, those 3 are pretty clearly the 3 that jump out to me.
I think the only one that you would even be able to potentially argue, I mean, you mentioned Foje, like Torrey Blaylock is getting a lot of preseason hype by the OU staff.
Yes.
I don't think you need to rush him onto the field. I also think that it probably makes more sense at the running back position to get Javonte Barnes those reps, get Xavier Robinson those reps, Taylor Tatum. You still got to figure out what you have there. Now, if he earns those snaps, right? Like, but Torrey Blaylock's got a very bright future. If they want to work him in, preserve his red shirt, and make sure he's ready to be part of this running back room for the long term, I could see that being the plan too, right? So I think the biggest wild card for me is Fasusi. I could see Elijah Thomas playing a role, but they brought in all of these receivers for a reason. Fasusi feels like one that, you know, the tackle position is so interesting to me for Oklahoma this year. It feels like the moment he gets an opportunity to take some snaps, I don't know that he lets go. And that's where the impact freshman stuff comes into play, in my opinion.
I can give you one.
So moving off of that,
I'll give you one bonus.
Oh, go ahead.
And this is definitely taking a big shot here. Not a guy that we've really talked about hardly at all, frankly, during fall camp. Marcus James just filed away.
Interesting.
He looks great. He's got kind of a sneaky amount of hype. Like if you bring him up to another linebacker, they really will glow about him. He probably would need an injury or two to really have a role. But like that linebacker room is kind of thin. We've talked about it. You know, if a guy goes down, it wouldn't shock me if Marcus James steps in and does a nice job. He looks great. He really does. I think he's had kind of a sneaky good camp. Like we haven't talked about him hardly at all because I feel like linebacker is very set. There's not really a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
But Marcus James, I mean, it just tuck it away. Tuck it away.
You would certainly need some things to break the right direction. I mean, that linebacker group has a chance to be pretty solid, especially because I think Kendall Daniels could kick inside. Obviously have Sammy Kipp, Kobe, Owen. They like all that crew. But who knows? I mean, look, when I saw Marcus James this summer, I told him, I was like, all right, like putting some weight on there, big fella.
Great. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy. Marcus is a great one. I'm very happy with that guy. Great dude. Enjoyed covering him.
No doubt.
Let's talk about some guys that we're going to enjoy watching kind of make some noise on the national scale. Some sleeper contributors, some guys that are going to emerge next up. That's our next topic, correct?
Yeah. Sleeper big-time contributor. So, yeah, this is basically the way I have it in my brain. You could take it whatever direction, but kind of a guy that is going to have a role that maybe, I don't know if fans are totally prepared for how big of a role this guy might have. A little bit of kind of an under-the-radar impact player.
So you take it away because I had the pick last time.
Sure.
Now you're up, snake style.
I have one in mind because this is tough because it's like, what do you consider to be a sleeper? And so maybe what I say you don't consider a sleeper. But for me, I think someone that is going to legitimately have a role. I don't know to what degree, but I think they're going to get on the field. I think they're going to play. I'm going to go with Jaren Kanak at tight end. I think Kanak has shown himself over camp to be able to make plays in the passing game. Now, the question with Jaren, obviously, can he handle the other duties of the position? He's not the biggest guy in the world. Can he block defensive ends in the SEC? Probably not, frankly, but he's an athlete. We've seen him make plays in the open windows that we have gotten to come out to practice. But even beyond that, I've been told he's had a really nice camp in that area in, making plays in the scrimmages, catching passes, getting out and making some things happen. I think Jaren Kanak is going to have a role. Now, to what degree, I really don't know. That tight end room is still a total question mark for me. I don't even really have a great idea of who's going to be the starter. I think you can make a good argument for both Will Huggins and Carson Kent there at that spot. But I think Jaren Kanak is a sleeper. Like, you're going to see him. I think his snap count is going to be pretty healthy. Like, I think he's going to play for this Oklahoma offense this season. Where do you fall on that? How do you agree with me there or no on Jaren Kanak? Potentially, I think he's going to get out there. I think he's going to have an opportunity to do some things.
I certainly think that he has earned the opportunity to have a role in this offense. Now, what that looks like, I think that's anybody's guess right now. Covering him as a recruit, like I talked to a lot of friends that I have out in the state of Kansas about him when he was coming up. And we talked about, hey, like this guy has a potential kind of like that 2-point H-back, almost like a Dimitri Flowers role.
Yeah.
There's something there. I think that's kind of the utilization you should expect. That being said, Arbuckle's offense going into the year is wide open. So I'm curious to see, like specifically from a role perspective, how he's used within formations, schematically, because that's going to determine a lot. How he gets the ball, where he gets the ball, and when. Like someone asked me on the board the other day, who leads the tight end room in touchdown receptions? I don't know, because Kanak could get a ton of catches, but more in the open field because he's not this huge red. You know what I mean? So
I'm with you. Yeah,
definitely think he has a role. Curious to see exactly what it is, and I think that's going to really shape his contributions on the offensive side. My thing with this is I am debating big time versus sleeper, because like if we're talking a sleeper big time contributor, I feel like I have my answer, but if I give that answer, it might be a little bit of a lame one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll with that answer, and depending on the face that you make, I'm going to immediately change my answer.
Full send.
Big sleeper, big time contributor to me is Isaiah Satania. I like, here's why I say that.
That works. Yeah.
Deion Burks, Giovanni Gibson, all these guys. I don't know that Oklahoma's fans or the national landscape realizes just how much Isaiah Satania is going to play a role in this offense. But here's why the point furthers for me. If we're talking sleeper big-time contributor, Josh, he's not only arguably going to be wide receiver 2 when he didn't necessarily have a ton of production coming to Norman. I mean, he's going to return punts. Like he's more than likely going to be your return specialist as well, specifically in punt return. And if we're talking sleeper big-time contributor, if we're talking about a guy who's potentially wide receiver 2 until Giovanni Gibson comes back and a guy that's returning and it still somehow feels like not enough people are talking about him, hopefully that makes sense. I guess what I'm trying to say is Isaiah Satania is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. No, and he also somehow still feels like a quietly discussed player for this team.
No, you just said it. I mean, if you told me that we get to the end of the year and Isaiah Satania leads this team in receptions, that wouldn't shock me. I mean, I think that's totally in play, but I don't know if he's really talked about like that. To your point, because I think when they got him, I think there was a bit of a sentiment of, oh, nice, like a speedy guy can be kind of a backup slot for Burks, and it's like as the offseason kind of unfolded and as camp has unfolded, it's become clear like, oh, this guy is going to play. Like he's going to be a big part of this. So I'm with you. I think that's a good one. Is there any other ones that you wanted to get off your chest, honorable mentions? I mean, it depends on what you define as a sleeper, obviously, but I think Satania is a good one.
Satania, again, it's for me, I'm like, he's just like a really under-discussed, almost like a guaranteed starter, not only on offense, but on special teams and like return yardage, receptions. They love this guy. If he's going to be a production type at that level, we may not be discussing him enough. Here's the other guy that I thought about. This is one of my guys, Josh. I'm very intrigued by him. Go ahead and give me Jermichael Carter. I think.
Yeah, I'm with you.
From what I've heard, and, you and I have been gathering intel from these practices and scrimmages, talked to some folks. I think Jermichael Carter came in, and I said it when they landed him at the time. He just felt like a chain mover for this offense. Felt like he could go over the middle, make contested catches, navigate traffic, and get the chains moving. Make some of those catches that, like I kind of joked, like Theo Weiss was making on the back end of his Oklahoma career whenever he was dinged up. But Jermichael Carter's got this physicality and passion in his play style that I think is going to make him a meaningful contributor. If you need a play to keep the chains going, I feel like Jermichael Carter has a chance to be that guy this year. But he came in, and from what I've heard early on, the learning curve kicked in, maybe had some drops, maybe kind of learned, this is a whole other level compared to, respectfully, McNeese State. But then it sounds like he really started to put the puzzle pieces together. He's got a chance to have a specific role in this offense, and you need that kind of guy that's going to keep drives alive. If he becomes the player I think he can be, that is a sleeper, big-time contributor, a meaningful type of receiver role, and I think he could play to that very well.
One more, too, for me real quick. I think Marcus Strong is going to play. I know that, you have your 4 guys at D-tackle that are going to eat up the majority of the snaps. But I think Marcus Strong is going to have a role. So that's where probably big-time contributor might disqualify him for that. But sleeper contributor, if you just remove big-time, I don't think we really talk about him much because that D-tackle room is so loaded and there's stars in that position. But I think Marcus Strong's going to get out there. He's going to have snaps. And he might, if he makes the most of it, he might get more and more. I think Marcus Strong's had an opportunity here to get on the field and help spell some of these other guys a little bit. And I don't really know if we talk about him that much. So
I'm with you. The other 2 honorable mentions for me, almost as a group, Devin Jordan, Jeremiah Newcomb.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a big time fan of Jeremiah Newcomb. I like Newcomb a lot.
If we're talking sleeper big-time contributors, either one of those guys trots out starting corner, are we going to be shocked?
I like Newcomb too. They have tons of other guys, but his cheetah potential really intrigues me too. He's put on some size. I like Jeremiah Newcomb. A lot of potential there.
Noted.
What about a player with a surefire big season ahead of him? The way I would kind of put this, like obviously Oklahoma's got lots of good players, but basically like life on the line. This guy's going to have a big season. You would bet your bank account this guy's going to be awesome this year. Obviously, injury notwithstanding, that always is hard to predict that sort of thing. But who are you most confident is going to be like all SEC level of player this upcoming fall for Oklahoma? If you had to, again, bet your whole bank account, put your life on the line, this guy's going to be awesome. I'd bet everything on it.
Last year, if you go back and listen to this podcast, Josh took away the player that I have had a man crush on for the longest time with the first pick, and I have stewed on this every single day since then. I finally get a chance to take him and talk about him. It's R. Mason Thomas.
No doubt is. And no doubt.
It's R. Mason Thomas. Yeah. And here's why I would say that. Yes, he is probably going to be, if not a first-round pick, second rounder in the NFL draft. He is going to be one of the best closers in college football. He's going to be one of the best pass rushers in college football. Surefire to have a big season, though. He came back to further his ability in the run game, correct? I feel like that's going to show itself this season. I think he's going to be an even more improved player, which is crazy to think about considering how good he is. And if he showcases a complete skill set, that's an all SEC defensive end. Give me R. Mason Thomas, and I'm running away with the pick.
I'm all in on R. Mason Thomas. I think the potential is through the roof for him to be all that. There's a lot of kind of wait and see with this roster of like, let me show me. I'm not there with I'm in. I'm totally in. He's going to have an awesome season. I'm with you. He's the obvious pick. Just to get someone else in here, I'll go with Robert Spears-Jennings. We talked about this a little bit, I think maybe on Monday. Do you realize that Robert Spears-Jennings was second on the team in tackles last year? How many people would guess that or remember that? He was really good last year, and the shoes are big because Billy Bowman was such a great player for so long. And, now it's like, okay, you're the guy in that safety room now. But I think he's ready for it. He's gotten bigger. He's a leader. Yeah. He's a great athlete. Like, he's come a long way from like when he came from Broken Arrow, and it was kind of like, he's a nice in-state player. Like, he's got a chance to be pretty good. He's an NFL player now, or at least he's has the potential to be. I fully think that RSJ is poised for a big year. I don't know how you could pick an offensive player for this. I know John Mateer and all that, but like, there's so much new on offense. Surefire, like you really, like I said before, bet your life on the line. But defensively, there's a few, and I think Robert Spears-Jennings is right up there. I'm in on RSJ having a huge year. Again, he was really good last year, and Billy Bowman takes the headlines there last year, and for obvious reason, Billy was an awesome player for a long time. He might start as a rookie in the NFL this year, but RSJ is ready to be a really huge part of this in 2025. So I'm in on RSJ having a big year.
I'm really glad that you picked him because, and I know it sounds like I'm just saying this to say this, but no joke. Like, I hand up, that was my other pick in my head. Mm-hmm. If you had gone first, I was going to take RSJ. And we've talked about this on the pod. You know how I feel about RSJ. I felt like he was very underappreciated last year for just how good he was. There were moments in that game where he was up on the line of scrimmage to playing the back end, and at every level of defense, an elite player. You don't have that in every safety. RSJ is so freaking good, man. He's so good. And I'm really glad you picked him because I feel like he deserves that spotlight. Offensively, if we're talking honorable mentions, this is an interesting conversation. You know what's crazy for me? If all things had stayed the same dating back to the spring, you know who I would have picked here? Giovanni Gibson.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been all in. Giovanni Gibson is going to have a surefire massive season, and then he gets hurt. So I think the answer offensively is Jay Knott.
I think so.
John Mateer, but there's debate about John Mateer. I think Jay Knott's probably your most surefire bet. But I think it's crazy, man. Like, legitimately, if he hadn't gotten hurt, Giovanni Gibson would have been my pick here.
Yeah, it was hard to go anyone on offense just because there's just so much we don't know. And like, we all are in on John Mateer and all, we're excited about the potential there. But for this question, surefire, like no doubt. I don't know how you could not have some doubt for Oklahoma offensively, even though we all think that, Mateer in this offense is going to be pretty good. But defensively, obviously, that's where Oklahoma's going to look to win games, and they've got some studs over there. The two that we highlighted there for sure, right at the top of it with Mason Thomas and Robert Spears-Jennings. Last one, pivotal presence player. Someone needs to step up. Now, this is kind of semantics here, the verbiage. It's a little different than sleeper, big time contributor, because this guy's not necessarily a sleeper, but like maybe his importance is a little understated sometimes. Like they kind of need this guy to be good, sort of a player. Who's starting here? Am I starting? I guess I'm starting.
I think it's you now.
I have one that sticks out to me when I kind of first thought about this last night. I think the one that fits this the most, in my opinion, is Kendall Daniels. Kendall Daniels, to me, I've talked about it a few times over the course of the offseason. He's just one of those guys that can elevate this defense to another level. I don't really feel like Oklahoma in Brent Venables' first 3 years has really had a perfect fit at Cheetah, frankly. I mean, they've tried a bunch of different guys, and guys have done well. Kendall Dolby did some good things last year before he got hurt. They tried to make Deshaun McCullough that kind of spot. Probably didn't have quite the speed to do it, the athleticism. They tried some other ones, a little Samuel Masigo last year. I know at one time Jaron Kanik was thought as like a perfect fit. It really feels like Kendall Daniels is finally the perfect fit. He's got to go do it, though. He's got to go do it. I know Oklahoma State fans freaked out all the time about like the effort level. It seems like that he is totally re-energized coming to Norman and coming to a situation where there's a lot of expectations of winning and having, a defensive-minded head coach and defensive culture. It feels like it's been great for him. He's been a great fit. You ask one of his teammates about him, and they just rave about the fit. I asked Samuel Masigo about Kendall Daniels, I think like a week or two ago, and he basically says like he's been just a perfect, seamless fit, everything you want in a linebacker. I think that's how he phrased it. I'm in on Kendall Daniels. If you told me right now, like he is what Oklahoma hopes he will be, my confidence that this defense is going to be even better than it was a year ago goes much, much higher. So he's a big one for me. I just feel like he's finally in year 4 with Wes Goodwin coaching him up, like the perfect fit at Cheetah for Oklahoma finally. And so I'm going with Kendall Daniels for me.
That is a surprising pick. I didn't even have Kendall Daniels on my board, but I love it.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I think it's very interesting because it's a great point. I mean, the value of the Cheetah position in this defense, it's massive. It's literally a pivotal position in the scheme. And Kendall Daniels, they've talked a lot about how he kind of feels like the perfect fit for it. He talks a lot about how he wish he had played for someone like Brent for a long time. Like you mentioned the effort thing. I don't think Brent Venables would be praising this player if the effort stuff hadn't been checking out recently, So very interesting pick. It's also very interesting, Josh, because now my board is wide open. I had like 8 names for this, and they're all still on the board. I have no idea where to go. Part of me wants to go offense because you went a defensive guy, but I think I'm going to stick with defense and take my number 1 guy on the board. Gentry Williams, this is it.
That's a good one.
That's
a good one. It is. That's a good one.
And this is it more than ever before, because let's just be honest. Part of the reason why Oklahoma did not go out and seek a cornerback in the transfer portal partially was because they like some of the youth and the depth in that room. But they believe in Gentry, as they should, by the way. This is an NFL caliber cornerback when healthy. I don't think that anyone doubts that. But the key is always when healthy, right? And to further this, Josh, in the past, Gentry Williams goes down, I think Oklahoma was in a position to recover fairly well. If Gentry Williams does not put it together this year, you're suddenly creating a ton of unknowns at a premium position like cornerback. And this is a massive year at Oklahoma. This defense has got to reach its fullest potential to go to the highest levels, attain all of this program's goals. And I think a lot of that falls on the lap of the cornerback position. And Gentry Williams is kind of the face of that position right now. So we don't have to recount the past.
Yeah.
But this is it for Gentry Williams. And to me, he is literally the pivotal presence player for OU. If he plays to his fullest caliber, Josh, this team can go to the playoff. I don't think that's an overstatement to say that this singular player plays the way he can. Oklahoma's an entirely different football team, and it goes to show you just how valuable he is.
No, it's a great call, and especially when you look at, Eli Bowen's banged up. Kendall Dolby, you think could probably help at corner. He's coming off a big injury, and he's all banged up as well. He's
also moving from cheetah to corner.
Right. Jacoby Johnson hasn't really done it yet. I mean, then it's a bunch of young guys. They need him. They need Gentry Williams big time. That's a great pick. And when you say the phrase, this is it, it makes me think of two other guys too. Your three former 5-stars in Peyton Bowen, in PJ Adebawore, both. I think probably fall into that category too of again, that phrase, this is it. And there are different situations. They're not in the same. It hasn't been the same for those two guys. Peyton Bowen has done some legitimately very nice things in his first 2 years. He's been hurt a lot, playing through a lot of injuries. Hopefully he can be healthy this year and kind of start to really be that star on defense that everyone thought he would be. Then for PJ Adebawore, obviously he hasn't really had much of a role at all. And it's year 3. We all see the potential. And he's an absolute monster on the field. The length, all that stuff that we talk about all the time. Can he finally put it together? Because Mason Thomas needs a running mate, and he has a bunch of options, whether it's Okoye, Marvin Jones, Taylor Wine got some hype. But PJ Adebawore, man, a former 5-star going to year 3, he feels like he could explode, but he's got to do it. And Miguel Shea talked about that a few weeks ago. Mason Thomas was a bit of a slow and, battled some injuries, and all of a sudden he kind of took off. PJ could be that, but you got to do it. So those two would also jump out to me, especially when you say the phrase, like you said, this is it. I mean, those two guys, come on. It's go time. You guys got to be not just players, but stars of this defense now. It's year 3. It's time for that.
I absolutely think that this is it thing falls on Peyton Bowen. You talked a little bit about PJ. I think if Peyton Bowen is going to be the caliber of player that we have all thought for the longest time, now given that Billy Bowman spotlight, this is it. And I think he's going to realize the moment. I think PJ has the luxury of playing in a pretty loaded defensive end room right now.
For sure.
I could see a world where he plays well this year, but comes back and then has that this is it season. Josh, the two for me that came into mind as well, this is it for Jacob Sexton.
Yeah, another good one.
This is it, man. If you're going to be the left tackle, go ahead.
I was saying, got to stay healthy.
I don't know what else to say for Jacob Sexton other than this is your moment, man. Go seize the opportunity because Michael Fasusi, Logan Hallen, they're all waiting to take your job. They'll do it tomorrow if they can.
Yeah.
And I think Jacob Sexton's talented. He's been through a lot, but they're setting him up to be the left tackle. And this is his last year of ball. This is it. And Josh, this is kind of it for Deion Burks. This is kind of it, man. His last year, the NFL was supposed to come calling last year. He was supposed to be a day 2 pick. And unfortunately, it didn't come together. I hate it for him. I think Deion Burks is subtly one of my favorite players on this roster. Great dude.
Yeah.
Really talented player. But if you want to talk about pivotal presence, Javonte Gibson banged up, Jaden Gibson, all these receivers would go through, Zion Kearney. They kind of need Deion Burks to be the Deion Burks. You know what I'm talking about? They need one go-to receiver, and Deion Burks could be it. And if he is that player, he can find himself into the NFL. Also another one for me that came to mind when you talk about this is it for this type of player.
No doubt. I'm 100% with you. There are a lot. Obviously, it's a huge year. You're leaning on a lot of guys to step up and have big seasons. You need it. But there are many. But fun way to kind of wrap up the offseason. Next week is game week. It's incredible. It feels good. Just excited to get it going. Again, a reminder to subscribe to us at Sooners Illustrated. Use that promo code SoonersPod60. You get 60% off a VIP membership right now for a year. It's going to be a heck of a season. Our third at Sooners Illustrated. We're very fired up to get it going. And, enjoy the last weekend open. get the mind right, watch Farmageddon in Ireland and some other random games tomorrow. And then it's go time. It's go time next week. We'll be getting things rolling. Very, very excited to get this season started next week. CK, I think that's it. Good show. Had a lot to get through. Got through it a little over an hour. Longer show, but it was a good show. We'll be back next week. We'll get into in-season mode. Tom, James, and I will be with you on Monday, kind of setting the table for the season. Collin and I will be back on Thursday to hit on any recruiting stuff, any visitors that are coming into town for Illinois State. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that and things of that nature next Thursday, and then also a game preview on Friday, full game coverage on Saturday. We'll get into the whole regular drill of the season where we're coming at you basically every day on the Sooners Illustrated YouTube page with lots of content over on the website, obviously, as well at oklahoma.247sports.com. I think that's it for now. Collin, it was fun as always. Back next week. Enjoy the weekend.
I'll see you later tonight at the Rangers game.
That's right. Collin and I are going to take in a Rangers game tonight. I'm driving down to hang out and, have a nice little weekend down with my folks. And again, I'm just getting the mind right.
It's very wholesome that you and your wife and your child are coming down, and then my wife and I are going to meet you out there. We're having a little Sooners Illustrated family outing before the start of the year. And then I cannot wait because that next day, my wife doesn't know it yet, but our mortgage is on K-State -2.5. We'll go back, baby. College football is here.
Oh, man. I'm excited. I'm fired up. Some of the night games, while not nearly as good as Farmageddon, I will be watching. Stanford, Hawaii. I'm in.
Lock me in.
I'm in. Who's Kansas playing? Kansas is playing, too. I'm in. I'm going to watch
They're playing Fresno State, I want to say.
Right. I think that's right.
Who knows? If I win Fresno State -2.5, I'll turn right around and bet on that Hawaii-Stanford game. Who knows?
I'll do it. Bet I won't. I think that's it. We'll be back next week, setting the table for the start of the 2025 season. For Collin Kennedy, I'm Josh Callaway signing off for now. See you next time right back here as always on Sooners Illustrated.